How's it going, everybody? We had a huge weekend in WWE, and now we have a huge show for Aftermath tonight. Guys, Nug's in the host seat tonight because Caroline, poor Caroline's been sent to Las Vegas. I can't imagine a worse place to be. Terrible. Just a nightmare of a town. Terrible. But we've got me in the host seat. We've got former WWE referee Jimmy Corderas. How's it going, Jim?
Good. It just feels a little weird being on this side, but I'm cool with it.
It's weird being on this side, too. I'm an island to myself over here, as it were. And we have former WWE superstar Anthony Corelli. What's up, Anthony?
Not too much. Just try not to fall in the pool here.
It is scary. That's usually where I sit, and it's a long way down. Yeah. It's a long way
What's
down.
worse is pool maintenance.
Oh, of course.
That's the worst.
Of course it's worse. Guys, we've got so much to talk about, but let's get started. We've got some wins and fails for Money in the Bank, and I'm going to kick things off with my win because I'm over here and I can do it. My big win was Seth and Elias for the Intercontinental title. I thought that match was fantastic. I thought Seth looked great. I thought Elias looked better than ever. That guy can go. I really liked that he changed up the pants so it didn't look like two mirror images fighting each other. I always think everybody looks the same. Him and Elias and Seth and Roman sort of all look the same. Yeah. But what a match, and how physical was Elias in that match?
I think they both gelled really well. And you talk about chemistry in a match. These two guys had real good chemistry. What I enjoyed about it is, like you said, that this match elevated both men. I mean, Seth Rollins, obviously, we know is on a big roll. And we'll talk about what happened last night later. But the challenges coming out of a match is both men getting elevated. And in wrestling, they say one man gets over while the other guy goes over. And that's what happened in this instance is Seth Rollins went over and winning the match. And
yeah, and Elias got over with the crowd.
Yes.
Which is an important part of getting your character.
Exactly.
Being Elias for the longest time has been kind of the comedy guy. I'm coming out to sing, kind of a new version of the honky tonk man, if you will. Mm-hmm. But last Saturday night, he showed that he could really fight.
Yeah, I mean, every rung on the ladder that he's being placed, he's delivering, and he belongs there. Mm-hmm. And people love it. I mean, he's pretty versatile. Not only can he sing and he has that awesome ring presence, when it's time to go, he can go. And he's a big, strong guy. I think he's delivered. I have not seen him not deliver yet.
And that's what's interesting. Even last night on Monday Night Raw, usually he comes out to sing and he gets cut off. He got a whole song out last night, and it was pretty good.
Finally.
It's just the more we see Elias do stuff, the more we realize how many talents Elias has.
Yeah, you know, I mean, so when you get to WWE, the rate of matches increases, you know what I mean? So let's say you could be in the Indies and you may have 50 matches, I don't know, 100 matches. If you're having one a year or one a weekend, that's only 50 a year, right? And all of a sudden now you're on the road and you're having 4 or 5 matches a week. And then you really start to learn. I remember I heard Ricky Steamboat one time saying he started getting it around between 1,000 and 2,000 matches. And I started doing the math, and that's going to take guys forever.
They say 10,000 hours. Well, put in 10,000 hours into anything, and it'll make you an expert.
Yep. Yeah, so now if he's already this good and delivering at this level already, how good is he going to get once he gets that many matches under his belt?
Absolutely.
The challenge is going to be, and I don't see this happening with him, but the challenge is going to be getting to that level where all of a sudden you start thinking that you know all and you don't think you need to learn anymore and evolve, because this is a business where you're constantly learning and constantly
hopefully it doesn't become that guy.
It doesn't complacent.
We have to learn as we go, and we have to learn what your win is, Anthony. What's your win?
My win is the feel-good moment of Mr. Braun Strowman winning the Money in the Bank. Obviously, he had a lot of adversity throughout the match, guys ganging up on him, throwing him, covering him with ladders, and he was definitely a fan favorite. In the beginning, I said he didn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase, but the audience likes him, and they wanted him to win, and they kind of got what they wanted. And I just like that they were behind him. It was a straight victory, no shenanigans, and a very exciting match. But Braun Strowman now has that extra ace up his sleeve, if he wore sleeves, that he can cash in at any time. He's already a dangerous guy. Knowing that he can attack at any time, it's going to make for some entertaining professional wrestling.
I know. I'm okay with it. I would have preferred another direction or someone else holding the briefcase. But I'm, like you said, I'm okay with it because it could be entertaining. We saw in the past guys like RVD and John Cena call their shots. Like RVD did at One Night Stand, John Cena did, I don't remember where, but of course somebody will Google it and let me know.
Yes.
But I want him to call his shot. I mean, last night he says, "I'm going to come for you." Just say it. Just say, Brock Lesnar, this is the date.
It made me laugh when he showed up with the briefcase and says, "This case says I can show up whenever I want, wherever I want." He can do that already.
Yeah,
he doesn't need a
he didn't need the
briefcase to do that.
Yeah.
Anthony, but you did have a fail for the weekend.
Yes, I really wanted to see the outcome between Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax kind of, play itself out to completion. I believe Ronda was victorious via disqualification. But I was enjoying it so much. I wanted to see an end. I guess we'll talk about Alexa later.
Yeah, we'll talk about Alexa cashing in a little bit later, but you were just unsatisfied with the end of that match.
I'm a judo guy. I think everyone kind of knows that by now. And some of the throws she's doing, I used to practice them years ago at OVW. She did one on Kurt Angle. It was a modified Sode Tsurukomi Goshi with the leg thing, which is like, oh, you can't even do that anymore in judo because you can't touch the leg. But it's an old throw that was really popular in the 90s. And against Nia, she did a throw called...
Yeah, please explain it because I have never seen that.
Okay, so it's called Utsurigoshi. It means switching hip throw. Am I tied in here? Can I get up? I could even demonstrate it. Okay. If somebody gets you in a headlock, you grab around the waist, you pop your hips. Now, when there's a little bit of space, you then put your hip in, and it's a big hip throw. Now, when you first put your hip in, you're almost going to be back to back. And then you have to calculate the person's rotation. So she did it from standing. She didn't have to pop her hips. Not big enough.
Insane.
So she went almost back to back with the girl and then powered her all the way over, just using all her core and then it looked like she was going to land on her head.
It did.
And last minute she flipped, and it was a modified Utsurigoshi for those keeping score.
It was one of the most impressive throws that I've ever seen. And going to the ending of that match, though, I didn't mind it only because... Yeah, usually you want a conclusion to the match. You want a definitive winner and loser outside of a disqualification or countout or whatever the case may be. But in this case, I want to see more progression with Ronda Rousey before it looked like she was on the verge of making Nia tap. I didn't want to see her lose, but at the same time, I think it's too soon for her to be women's champion. So this was kind of a good alternate ending, if you want to put it that way.
So moving into that, you liked that. Was there anything else you liked for a win this week?
Absolutely. I absolutely loved Ronda Rousey entirely this weekend. She surpassed my expectations at WrestleMania in the mixed tag match. I had concerns going into her first singles match on television. I don't have any concerns anymore because she has just grasped professional wrestling beautifully and quicker than almost anybody. Maybe save Kurt Angle. But she has got it all. I mean, like, the hardest thing to learn in professional wrestling, and Anthony, you teach now, is registering others' offense. See, when you come from a world of combat sports, you are getting popped constantly, and, you try to fight back. In professional wrestling, you have to register someone else's offense, or as they call it, selling.
Yes.
She mastered it beautifully. Her facial expressions are spot on.
Yeah.
She's just got it. She gets it.
And the crowd started sympathizing with her, which was something that when you see someone from the same background like Brock Lesnar, crowd doesn't really sympathize with Brock Lesnar at all. Brock Lesnar just goes out and murders people. But they were on her side, wanting her to overcome this obstacle.
So, sometimes having somebody with a fresh set of eyes on selling is interesting because guys, so you see a certain amount of selling on TV, you see it everywhere, and you automatically want to, what's the word, emulate, duplicate, replicate, whatever, a lot of Kates.
Yeah.
But she's not doing that. So she's kind of getting up a little quicker than most people would, but that's fine. Now, it's very interesting in professional wrestling. You kind of almost have to have this chart of how many moves and in order of devastation, and you have to sell that accordingly. So anyway, she is doing good. I thought a couple times she got up a little early, made some adjustments, but that just comes with experience.
Yeah.
So if she's already... And, she's not throwing judo out the window and just becoming a pro wrestler. She's combining the two, making this hybrid thing. When all's said and done, she is going to be awesome.
Oh,
absolutely. Sure, he's already halfway there.
But not everything was the best for you. You had a fail this week.
No, I go back and you know what? I like Bobby Lashley. I like Sami Zayn. I don't like this whole scenario between the two of them. especially coming off of Sunday, because in a match, especially on a pay-per-view, like you said with the Seth Rollins and Elias match, both guys benefited in that match. In this match, nobody benefited. I mean, both guys came out of this match not elevated, in fact, less.
It makes me so mad that the hype when Bobby Lashley returned and he comes back and he's done a whole bunch of boring things. And he wore just a gray hat with nothing on it a couple of weeks ago because he's that boring. And then on Sunday, he had this match where the big finish was a regular suplex. It makes me crazy. You tout Bobby Lashley as this amazing athlete, and he comes out there and just holds a guy for a suplex and drops him. It makes me crazy. But I got to move on to my fail because we're coming short of time. My fail was the crowd during the Roman Jinder match. They checked out before the match even started. It makes me crazy. I get you have people telling you to eat your vegetables. You don't want to eat your vegetables. They make more vegetables. You don't want to eat your vegetables. At this point, it's not even about who's in the ring. No. It's just booing for the sake of booing.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense.
And what these entitled, enlightened people don't understand, it has nothing to do with whether you like Roman Reigns or don't like Roman Reigns or Jinder Mahal, whether you like him or not. It has nothing to do with that. It's in the way you are protesting. It is like you're like petulant children who didn't get what they wanted for Christmas. So guess what? We're going to ruin Christmas for everybody because I didn't get my bicycle.
We're going to set fire to the Christmas tree.
But I mean, they obviously don't know the damage they're doing to the show and the production. Yeah. A boo is a loud sound you can make.
Yeah.
So even if it's 10% of the people booing really loudly, it sounds like everybody's booing. Right. But a boo is very strong. It has bass to it. So I don't know how many people are really booing, but it's definitely audible, and I think it's taking away from the show.
That's the thing. They're trying to ruin the show. Or ruin the match, at least.
And we're going to take away from this show just to go to commercial, but we'll be back to talk more Money in the Bank right after these messages.
You don't have to boo. Don't boo.
We don't talk a lot about the predictions we made the week before a pay-per-view event, but I have to do it. I did say whoever won the ladies' Money in the Bank would cash it in that night, and that happened. And then I also said that Carmella would be victorious with some help, just like she got help last year to win Money in the Bank. And lo and behold, the exact same person showed up to help her.
You never said those things.
I did so. Watch the tape. Bring it back. But the same person, James Ellsworth, returned to help her defeat Asuka.
I think in this case you can Barry Horowitz yourself.
Oh yes,
yes,
right there.
do the old self-pat.
Right, little pat on the back right there.
I was a little bit surprised that Ellsworth returned. What surprised me more was the reaction he got because, I just, I don't know.
He's just a common man.
He's a weirdo. My wife calls him that Tweety Bird looking guy. She just lost her mind. She was like, why is that guy back? Why is he even here? So that's the reaction.
I've heard him on the local indies get some pretty incredible reactions where I didn't quite get it, but I heard it, so it's real.
Yeah.
So I think
that's the thing. He's
the connection. He's 1 degree of separation from the common fan to superstardom. He's the link that combines him. He's an average guy.
But now what
think I can do this too?
What happens now? What happens now with Carmella? Does she face Asuka again? Clearly, Asuka deserves some sort of a rematch for this nonsense that happened. But is Carmella a worthy champion all of a sudden because she has a victory over Asuka? She has a victory
versus
over
Ellsworth.
Oh, I'd take Asuka versus Ellsworth any day.
I'd take Asuka in the match too.
Yeah.
Bet the farm.
Everyone would. Yeah. I think that's because he was doing something on the Indies intergender stuff.
Yeah. Right? Oh, fighting some ladies?
So this would be an excellent exclamation mark to the women's evolution, intergender, Asuka versus
it's kind of like the old Andy Kaufman thing, I guess.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about the WWE Championship match, last man standing between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. That match, the crowd was watching intently. I won't want to say they were reacting intently, but they were watching intently. And at the very end, Nakamura yells, "Come on!" And I think our good guy, our best friend, the hero, AJ Styles, isn't going to take the opportunity. And then he did it. He just hauled off and kicked him in the nether regions and then won the match. And it made me angry that a good guy did a bad thing.
Well, I guess it's one of those things where fight fire with fire.
I guess.
An eye for an eye instead of turning the other cheek kind of thing or turning the other Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just glad this is over with. And,
Well,
and I
is
hate
it?
to go back. And I hate to go back to what we were talking about in the previous block. But it's funny how the audience was so. It felt like maybe they were watching intently, but it felt like they were so tuned out to this with two guys that are their absolute favorites. They're darlings.
Yeah.
Yet they spent so much time being negative. If you put more effort into being positive, that's all I'm saying.
Two negatives don't make a positive.
Yeah.
I get it. You slap me in the face and you get away. You slap me in the face and you get away. There's going to be a desire for people to see me want to get you back, slap you back in the face, 100%. When it comes to hitting, low blows, I don't know if that applies. I mean, that's really stupid.
I don't think so. And in the way that I didn't like a good guy doing a bad thing, on Sunday night, I loved that Seth-Elias match, but I didn't like that Seth pulled the tights to win. I know it was a desperation move, but that's also a bad guy move. That's how you cheat to win. So imagine my surprise when Karma came back to bite Seth Rollins last night on Monday Night Raw, and Dolph Ziggler pulled the tights and is your new Intercontinental Champion.
As I like to say, it is the circle of life, Simba.
Right.
See what happened? Again, if for people who didn't see the match on Sunday, Elias tried to pull the tights first. Seth Rollins reversed it and won the match pulling the tights. Role reversal, as you just saw. Hey.
And what a shocking moment. Has there been a genuine shocking moment like that on Monday Night Raw for a long time? No.
Yeah, pretty good shock value there. I don't know what it is about the drawstring in the tights that completely immobilizes people, though. But you grab that string, that's my center.
It's a string.
Adds extra leverage. That's what it is.
And
It's
what I
extra
like
leverage.
about this so much is that Ziggler's post-match interview said, this is just the beginning because when we talk, we back it up. They're taking over. Him and Drew McIntyre, I'm calling them DMZ.
Nope.
They're taking over.
Nope, they're not taking over because I have a hamster on the wheel here. We saw on social media, Drew McIntyre took to social media this week to call out the roster on Raw, telling them they're all complacent and now it's time for them to step aside for the young blood to come over. I think he's setting up Dolph Ziggler for a big letdown, and who knows? He kind of refers to the roster in NXT as being hungry. Maybe a few guys follow him up.
That would be great because I do love a nice invasion. I like a nice invasion, Nexus style, NWO style.
Not Nexus style.
But I think we're
yeah.
just getting started. Yeah. I can see tag belts on these two guys as well as the Intercontinental Championship. I can see them with all the gold.
Egos like that, because they don't have a long historical friendship.
Right.
This is a new kind of friendship. Both bad guys, both big egos. It's going to end eventually, and
yeah.
Maybe sooner than later. Quick thing on the Nexus thing. When they destroyed the ring,
Yes.
I was in Gorilla, and I thought this was a test from Vince McMahon, and I was this close. I was going through the curtain to run out there and fight.
Yeah.
And then I got the let it go.
Let it go, let it go. Yeah. Well, we have to let it go to
But
break.
This is a fight. This is a test.
We're going to come back and talk even more
I'll fight those Nexus.
about this week's matches in WWE. This has been an awesome week.
I know. Yes.
I think we're going to go fight. Money in the Bank was not the only thing that happened this weekend because there was an NXT takeover that was spectacular. Yep. It was a fantastic event, top to bottom, and I'm going to just give a shout out to the tag team match that opened the show. As I said to some people on the weekend, there were 4 guys in it that I do not care about, and they blew my minds with how good that match was, and I care about all those guys now.
Well, that's because the man with 3 H's in his name loves tag team wrestling, and he loves traditional tag team wrestling, and that's what we got a lot of. And I've always said this, I've said it 100 times, I'm going to say it 101. NXT is the perfect blend of old school meets new school without going too far each way, and it is resonating with this audience.
It really was on Saturday because every match had a little homage to something in the past. Yeah. The tag match had some Rock and Roll Express moves in it, and the Ricochet Velveteen Dream match was all over Hogan Rock, which was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you have somebody at the helm that is a historian and loves wrestling, he was a massive fan, you can definitely see the results. But I think there's also something in the structure of the show, how it's played down, how there's longer matches.
Yeah.
because consistently NXT seems to outshine the pay-per-view. Consistently, people saying if you're a wrestling a purist, or if you want to see the upcoming, the future stars, NXT is stealing the show every weekend. So wouldn't it be good if everybody followed suit, or is it,
as Drew McIntyre said, why don't you go ahead and do it yourselves? You know, show them how good you are.
Exactly.
Everybody's getting complacent.
But the thing with NXT too is they have a little bit of a different structure. As we saw on Sunday, the pay-per-view lasted much longer than I anticipated.
Yeah.
And it is, for me, that's too long. NXT was a nice 2.5-hour package. You had 5 well-placed matches that were given enough time to develop and tell stories, and had great psychology. And
so are they consistently 5 matches?
Yeah, usually 5, maybe 6.
They're pretty great.
There's one thing to learn from right away.
Less is more.
Speaking of, less is more, but that last match was more. The street fight between Gargano and Ciampa was a knockdown, drag-out, old-school fight.
It is right now, in my opinion, the best rivalry, not only in WWE or NXT, it is the best rivalry anywhere on the planet. You can go to Japan, you can go to England, you can go wherever you like. This rivalry was...
No one's talking about getting sick of that rivalry.
Not at all.
And it's such little things. Like there was a moment near the end of that match where Ciampa had Gargano's hand and he ripped the wedding ring off
and chucked it
away, and Gargano just found another gear.
Yeah.
Little things like that,
I love that.
That's a little thing.
Brilliant story.
And
So
it's
much
funny
good
because
stuff.
up-and-coming wrestler guys, I want to be wrestler guys, they're worried about all these moves, and all of a sudden this little piece of drama of taking off a ring and storytelling, and hopefully that's a good indication to up-and-coming young wrestlers out there. It's theatrical. It's Shakespeare.
It's emotion and connecting with a story.
Not about getting your you-know-what in.
Oh, it's true. We've got an Ask Aftermath question that is making me crazy, so we're going to have to ask it. Someone on Ask Aftermath, at WWE Aftermath, by the way, thanks for taking our thing. Yeah. Has WWE made a mistake not turning John Cena heel?
No.
He has been. I don't know. People seem to forget that.
He's the guy who's granted over 600 wishes, make-a-wishes.
Yeah, bad guys don't do that.
No, he's the #1 merch seller for like a decade and a half.
Bad guys don't do that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Problem solved.
You can, if you're devil's advocate, obviously it would be a nice, refreshing change to see how he would match up. To see him put a set of heat on somebody would be pretty interesting. But, I don't know. Like, he's John Cena, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bald eagles, apple pie, and John Cena. Come on!
By the way, thanks for the gimmick infringement on the Twitter name.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just pick a new one. Don't forget to send your Ask Aftermath questions using the hashtag AskAftermath for myself, for Jimmy, for Anthony. Thank you so much for watching. Caroline, have a great time in Las Vegas, and we will see you next week on Aftermath, and we'll have a whole lot more to talk about.